Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, or good night, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Elders Wisdom with me, Marion, and she, Juliet. Is that the right sound? Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Yes,
She, pronouns are gorgeous buggers.
Oh my God. Oh my God. What crazy times we live in. What completely and utterly insane, mad times.
Yes.
So, yeah, I'm just wondering how many people watching are going through really, really difficult and challenging times right now.
Yeah, the ability to see the comedy can be very difficult, can't it?
Yeah.
The absurd comedy, the cosmic joke, it can be difficult to appreciate.
Well, and yet sometimes you have to pinch yourself because it's so completely unreal what seems to be going on.
Yeah. It's the best movie never yet finished.
The never ending, that's what they had, wasn't it? The never ending story.
Welcome to Planet Marion. This is my movie. I didn't realize I was building the zombie apocalypse. That's what it feels like.
Well, I feel a bit like the zombie apocalypse today. I've been really, yeah.
Yeah, self-included, definitely. On some days.
So I am just going to make sure that I shut off noisy things. And
it's very difficult because one of the things that we do is we build dreams and images of the future. Most of it is built around what we see on the media or what's to see the true reality. So they're creating this. It's the Wizard of Oz, isn't it? They're creating this magic land that we can never reach and making sure we never get anywhere near any of it ever in reality in here, 3D, not even on the screen.
Yeah. And I was just watching a Tucker Carlson video where he's talking exactly about that. It's like, how do we know what's going on? We can only understand by looking through the news, and yet every single news item that you watch has an element of lies in it.
Agenda. There's an agenda behind it. Otherwise, it wouldn't be on the script of the news. It's
exactly. So it's either totally a lie or it's a lie which is an error, but usually it's a deliberate lie.
As much truth as they can to do the manipulation they want.
Yeah. And he's just I'll talk about it a bit later, but he's just talked about the whole lies around what was happening with Ukraine at the moment. Anyway, here we are. We're going live. Another absolute miracle for us elders, because it's no small task week after week to show up, and that showing up is an important thing, isn't it? Even if you can't do any more, but to show up, to show your integrity, to show your commitment.
Really important to show up when you feel like all of that's fucked up as well. When the inner judge, when you're really being judgmental about yourself, it's very difficult to show up. This is what we were just saying before. Part of the theme of this is about how do you resource yourself? Well, when we realize that we've been duped, or we've been stupid, or we've been naive, or we've been innocent, or whatever it is, when we realize that, it's really difficult to reorientate.
Yeah, because when we're in that, and then we go into our shame, and our social nervous system wants to shut down, and then we don't want to show up because we feel too much of a failure, too shamed. And the whole of what's happening is to make you feel wrong, to make you feel like you don't know. Actually, we don't know most of the time because everything is so confusing. We don't know. We are in no position to speak or make a judgment or know what the hell is going on, and like we're bad for it. It's like we're stupid for not knowing.
It's that cave, isn't it? Effect. What's it called? Is it a Scott? One of the Greek older fellas. They have that thing about the shadows on the wall, and everybody. That's all they thought. If that's all you could see, you'd believe the world was made of shadows.
Yeah, well, it is a bit like that. Anyway, we've showed up despite all that. We've battled with ourselves. We've battled with our inner child, our fear, our tiredness, our anxiety, the lot. And we've showed up. And Jack has also showed up, and he is very kindly said a lovely blessings, beautiful souls, loud and clear on Facebook. Thank you, Jack. And he also tells us it's Plato's cave. I've never even heard of Plato's cave.
Plato's Greek, isn't he? I was thinking Socrates, but I knew that wasn't right.
Okay, well, I never had the benefit of public school, and I was like dragged
Hey,
up.
talking to me, Gail. What do you mean public school?
Well, how do you get Greek stuff and things?
My school was called Marion High.
Oh, you were high.
That's where it all started.
Yeah. Well,
Marion High RC.
Okay.
Roman Catholic. Named after me. It's great.
So that's amazing. Yeah, I think I've just been listening to Lee Harris. You know Lee Harris, who's the channeler who channels the Z's.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely.
So I'm always a bit at a loss. I listen to all this news stuff and like what's propaganda, you know, it's all, you know, what's false. And okay, well, let's listen to a good guy that's trying to bring through some really, really powerful healing energy.
He's consistent, shows up. He's done this, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, 8 years now, maybe more. Oh
no, he's been channeling for over 20 years.
No, but I mean his regular monthly update. That he hasn't skipped a beat on that monthly update. And that's what I'm saying about it's more than 7 or 8 years, I'm sure.
Really?
Yeah. He hasn't skipped it on every month. If you look at his channel, he might have missed 1 or 2, but yeah, he shows up.
Yeah. So yeah, can we show up? Can we at least show up? So lost my train.
About what Lee was saying.
Yeah, about what Lee was saying, but before that I was just about to loop back to something we had just said about well, it's gone completely. I've got a bit of a jet-lagged brain, I'm afraid. So anyway, it's just gone.
So what's the message from Lee that you think is important?
Well, it's like more and more we hear, whether it's Pam Gregory or other astrologers or other channels. Oh, I know what I was going to say about authenticity and about like we don't know what the fuck's going on, but if we can trust our inner intuition, he's offering a channeling course. So learning to channel for yourself, and it's like, what's the difference between channeling and really tuning into your own intuition? Because I think this is where we fully know the truth, is when we can really tune into ourselves. And
do you know as well, Junior, integrity is discovered in the moment, isn't it? You can't plan to be integrous. It happens in a moment. I just got an idea that was for me. That feels really important.
Did you channel that?
Yeah, probably. I have actually done channeling, and I did a really lovely one about the heart and chains and conditioning. It was really lovely. What did it say? Forgiveness is not something that you do. Forgiveness will happen automatically when the chains of conditioning soften around the heart. That was one of my channels, and it went on for 5 minutes. I can't remember the rest of it because it was proper. Just wisdom that it's clear, and you can say it's really clear, and it's not way beyond what I know.
Yeah, it's
way beyond how I can manage my behaviour, but it's not way beyond what I know.
No, so
but it was very profound for me that forgiveness isn't something you do; it happens automatically. And I think I just got integrity is the same. Integrity isn't something you do; it happens in the moment because you may just have been deceived. So you may be like out of integrity right now because you've realized what you were fighting for is a pile of shit and you thought it was a pot of gold. So your integrity is screwed because you were deceived.
Yeah.
So then integrity actually needs to be, what's the next action? That's the only place integrity can now be found.
Yeah, that you're not worried about losing face. Is okay, I just totally screwed up. I was following this. I thought this was the truth. And now I found out that it's not the truth. And okay, can I kind of bring myself back to the center?
Popped. Yeah, you've popped your innocence, cherry kind of thing.
It's been happening to all of us over the last 4 span, that all these people that we were following or listening to, they've just been full of lies. And it's like, do we still try to hang on to, I'm going to still think this person is a god, or am I going to say, okay, well, I was wrong, you know, when I saw that the Dalai Lama was being jabbed, okay, maybe I was wrong to be thinking the Dalai Lama is some, you know, highly spiritually evolved person because he'd just been jabbed with a, you know, and I'm sure he wouldn't have been, you know, anyway, I would have thought he would have some power not to be jabbed. Anyway, so there's all that. So being authentic, being in your integrity. And Lee Harris actually says the energies say that all fully authentic desires to take creative action are the important things right now. To show up for yourself, yeah? To notice where there is resistance and self-judgment. And above all, to trust the timing. It's like, okay, you're working towards something, you're getting a sense of what's important thing to do, but maybe the timing isn't quite right yet. So you have to be a little kind to yourself in this moment.
Yeah.
But we're moving towards this because all the energies coming in are supporting this, and they're not going to stand this lower frequency. It's all going to be knocked out of the way. And
they have to live without judgment, isn't it? Or to reduce judgment.
Yeah. To be fully authentic and to be in the heart, to like check in with the heart all the time. Does this feel good? Because your heart will tell you if you're supporting something that's really vile and disgusting, and it's like you won't feel at ease, will you?
No.
And that's what we have been doing. I mean, all this stuff, as Christine Anderson says from the European Parliament, that they will stop having power as soon as you stop giving them power.
Exactly. Exactly. That's the whole thing about politics and the establishments as they are. We have to not do the establishment. So you can't even have to me anyway, it's like even the alternative party, it's two cheeks of the same arse. It don't matter which party you're looking at. They have to go and plug themselves into that system. So they become the arse. They have to, otherwise they can be in the system. So that system of the establishment politically is actually, for me, is the only solution. But that's not on the table yet because people are still caught up in Labour and Nigel and the heritage and the heretics and everything. And they're caught up in that level of it. But the system that all lives within, that's what we have to actually find a way to step out of.
Yeah,
and that's really scary because then we have to take all of the authority that we've dished out back in. So Dalai Lamas and doctors and everybody that's ever held authority down the path of your life, you've got to go, no, it's me. I am all of that. I gave all of that power away, but actually that's all mine. And that's the really scary bit because there's nobody to catch you when you fall, when you own all of it, is there?
Yeah, that's right. We have to take that out, back our authority.
Yeah.
So, okay, so I've got a few clips about that as well. So that's really interesting. Saz is watching and she's asked us a question. Saz will answer it at the end if that's okay. And Jack says, whichever party wins, the people always lose.
Exactly. The people have to be the party.
Yeah.
That
so
bloke, what was his name? Wolfie.
I don't know who Wolfie is.
Oh, well, it was telly. You won't know. It was telly.
I don't watch telly.
It was in the early 80s, late 70s. He was power to the people, revolutionary.
I ditched my telly in the early 70s. I never watched it since. So unless I go to my mother's, and then she's got one in every room and it goes on the moment she's awake, or rather the radio does. So, okay, people and planet. Anybody who knows what stakeholder capitalism is and the slogan people and planet? Because the World Economic Forum is in control of the two major parties in England. Both are
undemocratically elected.
Thank you. And driving the transition to an authoritarian. Thank you. Be my mouth. Keep my mouth for me. I can't get my mouth around these words tonight. Authoritarian political system called stakeholder capitalism. That's what you're doing when
authoritarian. So give the authority away. It says it in the name. That's what it says on the tin.
Yeah. So whenever you hear people, because everybody wants to support the environment and they want to be good citizens and protect, be sustainable and protect everything and sacrifice you know, have the jab so that the grannies aren't ill, and, you know, sacrifice their car because we don't need cars anymore and they're polluting the planet, and sacrifice washing our clothes or showering. You know, this
can't afford cars now, so they don't even think of not having a vehicle to sacrifice. They can't afford homes, so they don't think not owning a home is a sacrifice anymore, because they can't do it.
So sorry, I'm talking over you. You will own nothing and be happy. So let me share you this lovely man, Klaus Schwab. You know, there's a little bit of intrigue about Klaus Schwab now, that he's been accused of sexual
misconduct.
Yeah.
But where? Which country?
Well, I don't know. It was on Twitter. But
that's a country, isn't it? It's planet.
It's on Planet Twitter. But yeah, I mean, there's some talk that he's been up to malingering. So okay, yes.
What was that word that the Pope said? Not fettuccine. What was it called?
I don't know.
There's too much faggotry in the priesthood already. Fagottini.
Oh my gosh, I didn't hear that.
That's what the Pope said. He said it twice as well. He had to apologise for saying faggotry. There's too much faggotry in the church.
Wow. So, okay. I have left my glasses somewhere. So,
yeah.
Okay. So let me.
So we penetrate the cabinet.
Here he is talking about penetrating the cabinet.
The one with the child in it.
Yes.
He bought it at Wayfair.
Yes, that's it. I mean, that's shocking, really, isn't it? Right.
It is awful, but you have to laugh. This is the humour bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
What would be the best joke you could make if you had to?
I don't know. A lot of these jokes are in very bad taste. So, okay, let's start at the beginning. Hopefully I've got it. This is our lovely friend, Klaus Schwab. He's the only one that I can bring myself to watch. The others want me to vomit, make me want to vomit. In fact, Klaus Schwab does as well, but he's a bit of a clown. So here we go. Yes. So, come on.
There's something we're not being told about our upcoming elections in the UK. Our two major parties have been compromised and are undemocratically transitioning us away from shareholder capitalism to another political system. This short story begins with Klaus Schwab, the executive chairman of the World Economic Forum.
We are working closely together with governments from around the world, including all G20 countries.
His exclusive elite members, called stakeholders, include the heads of all G20 countries, from the US and UK to communist countries like China.
What we are very proud of now is the young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau, that we penetrate the cabinets.
After penetrating our cabinets, Schwab and his stakeholders have enacted a 10-year transition to another political system, which Schwab designed.
I pioneered the stakeholder concept,
called stakeholder capitalism.
Stakeholder capitalism is finally becoming mainstream.
This single global authoritarian system provides the stakeholders unprecedented control over our companies and lives.
The Chinese model is certainly a very attractive model for quite a number of countries.
Promoted on the cover of Klaus Schwab's book, stakeholder capitalism's slogan is propagated by the heads of all G20 countries and other powerful stakeholders.
People and planet, people and planet.
In the UK, Prime Minister and stakeholder Rishi Sunak has already made stakeholder capitalism's credit score mandatory for large companies.
We're announcing the UK's intention to mandate climate disclosures.
Sunak's opposition, Keir Starmer, is also a World Economic Forum stakeholder. It doesn't matter which party we vote for, both have a
stakeholder responsibility in accelerating the transition
to stakeholder capitalism by enacting its Marxist and tyrannical policies.
This is the best time to work jointly for the world to become more inclusive, more sustainable
If you've wondered what's causing these strange events, it's because we're witnessing a cultural revolution, a social movement manufactured by tyrants
Create a stronger inclusiveness.
to drive a shift from the bottom up to a more inclusive political system.
You have been promoting the stakeholder concept.
The era will be inclusive for them.
Other powerful UK stakeholders include Boris Johnson, Matt Hancock and Sadiq Khan, as well as the head of the BBC and our media regulator, Ofcom. They've been indoctrinating us to believe narratives about them acquiring totalitarian authority are dangerous right-wing conspiracy theories.
What can you do if someone you know has fallen down the conspiracy theory rabbit hole?
As well as manipulating us with propaganda, the stakeholders have been cancelling and censoring anyone who shares the truth.
Under new online safety laws, conversation and discourse is being shut down.
To discover how stakeholder capitalism works, Schwab's full plan for transitioning us, and what we can do about it, watch my feature documentary series, Stakeholder Communism, for free at yellow.forum.
So that's quite interesting. I'll have to watch that.
Yes.
Yes.
And this is why we've got to get out of politics, because I've got an idea of, like Farage is a city boy. And I wonder, because there's a sense that they're all part of the same layer, the puppets of the politicians. But there's not one hand above. And I think there's infighting above. And I think some of the infighting above is what makes Farage a bit different. But the same hand is above them. So there's no difference, even though there's a difference. It's only one layer thick, the difference. It's a superficial piece of shit. They're all the same. They're all on the same. Because think he's a city boy, isn't he? He was brought up with, a massive silver spoon. And he's an out-and-out city boy. There's no way he's going against city desires. So if the city desires don't gel with the WEF, maybe there might be a bit of infighting at that level. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. It feels like there's and so we've got, again, it's got to come outside of that framework. It's got to be, we start to rule and control ourselves. But it's so far from where we're at right now. It's like we're just waiting, aren't we, for enough people to realise, to just wake up and go, right, this is it. Let's stop.
Yeah.
Power to the people.
Well, it's hard to, it really is so confusing and hard to know your way forward. And it's a bit like you're thrashing around, and it's like, then you come back to what Lee Harris says, okay, come back to the heart. Be ready to admit when you've just kind of, gone the wrong way or whatever. It's like,
exactly. That's what integrity is. Integrity isn't not fucking up. Or integrity is saying, oh God, look, I've just fucked up. Or, oh, fucking hell, I'm actually fucking up right now. That's integrity.
Yeah. I mean, you can forgive anybody, I think, for, if they're truly, if they're truly honest. And you can tell when somebody's is not, well, can you? I don't know. I don't know what you can tell or not tell. It's really, really.
We can be very easily deceived, but, using the discernment and rationale that we can, but having the heart as part of the stopping us from falling into judgment too much, that there's no joy left in life.
Yeah.
Go back to the heart so we can see, oh my God, look at those clowns and puppets. It's funny.
Yeah.
Really think about the Wizard of Oz is where we're at. It is funny. But unfortunately, we're, Dorothy with her, whatever she's having, hallucinogenic but real experience. We're having that, aren't we?
Well, yeah.
Can't separate ourselves from the...
Anyway, we've got a nice little funny thing. I think my friend Marion might have given this to me. Marion from that school, that
Marion I.
Yeah.
It's called Marion I. It used to be Old Hill Convent the year before I got there. We had to wear, it was brown uniform. We had to wear brown knickers. And a lot of us were really poor, so some of us didn't have brown knickers. And some girl got told off because we were, we used to call it, let's go tossing. We had a tossing wall. It was where you went upside down and did your handstands and things. Meant something quite different by the time you got to 14 or 15. But anyway, then. We used the tossing wall, but the bloody nuns would see if you didn't have your brown knickers on and you get in trouble. All our yesterdays.
I mean, that's another abuse, isn't it? Being lined up. I remember that at school as well, being lined up to show whether you've got the regulation knickers on.
Yeah. I mean, you know, paedophile's gone mad, isn't it? Anyway.
So much abuse. Okay, so this is a simplification of what to do with this upcoming election, which I think is tomorrow.
Breakfast. A nice cup of tea and a boiled egg. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. It was Mr. Shitzak from the Conservative and Unionist Party, and he very much would like Norman to vote for him in the upcoming elections. Norman isn't sure. He's heard all these promises before. Tuesday morning, Norman is having a bacon sandwich with a lovely cup of tea. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Who could this be? Norman wondered. It was Smear Stomer from the Labour Party. He said, everything was the Conservatives' fault, and the Labour Party would do everything differently. Even though all the policies sounded exactly the same, Norman isn't sure. He's heard all these promises before. It's Wednesday morning, a beautiful sunny day. The birds are singing and the sun is shining. Norman is having cornflakes for breakfast. Suddenly, there is a knock on the door. Who on earth is that? Said Norman. He was getting fed up with the repetition and lazy animation. It was Dead Wavy from the Liberal Democrats. He said everything was the Conservative and Labour Party's fault, and they would do everything differently, even though his policies sounded exactly the same. He would like Norman to vote for him. Norman isn't sure. He's heard all these promises before. Norman is very cross. His cup of tea has gone cold, and he realizes that all the political parties are exactly the same. They represent big business and the military-industrial complex, and not the people who vote them in to represent them. If only there was a way to tell them we don't want any of them. Norman doesn't know what to do, so he turns on the radio, makes another cup of tea, and sits at the kitchen table. When a little song comes on.
If you are feeling dispossessed, wondering what course of action is best, here's a worthy note. Go ahead and spoil your vote and write upon it, I do not consent. Every vote is counted, you see. It's a right that's been bequeathed to you and me, Tory, Labour, Liberals and Greens. Don't understand what this means. Removing them from power is easier than it seems. The majority of people do not vote. Tacit agreement from the most. If they exercised their right, there's no need to stand and fight. We can remove the parasites from the host.
It's Thursday morning, it's raining and gloomy, it's voting day. And Norman knows exactly what to do. For the first time in his life, Norman was going to spoil his ballot and write across it, I do not consent. Norman leaves the house and sets out on the short walk to the voting station. Something amazing happened. Hundreds of people were doing the same thing. Leaving the house to show the political class that we no longer have faith in them and spoil their ballot. People who had stopped voting years ago turned up to write, I do not consent on their ballot. Mr. Normal wrote, I do not consent. Mr. Farmer wrote, I do not consent. Mr. Inner City Violence wrote, I do not consent. Mr. Ex-Veteran wrote, I do not consent. Little Miss Nurse wrote, I do not consent. And so did everyone in the town. Jubilant Mr. Normal returned home, made a cup of tea, and sat at the kitchen table to wait for the result. A little after midnight the news came in. In a free and fair election, I do not consent has it. I repeat, I do not consent has it. Everybody in Happy Town was over the moon. it turned out that everyone in the country had voted the same way. And that's the end of our story from me and Mr. Normal. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Goodbye. So I'm kind of left wondering what happens when, you know, everybody's written, I do not consent. What happens then? So,
well, the problem is, if you hear what he said, we remove the parasites from the host.
Yeah.
But the host is also, it's not us. Do you know what I mean? There are so many layers of bureaucracy and administration in between us and the host. But it's one way. If it did happen, and it would be interesting to see, you know, if there was a majority do not consent vote, it would be very interesting to see how they dealt with it. They would just lie through their fucking arseholes the way they always do and have us all bending over to be Rogered again. But it would be interesting to see how they coped if it did happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, so much is happening. And there is definitely, like, people are on the move, like trying to find a different way. I mean, there's this massive right-wing kind of swing happening now. Marine Le Pen.
Is it? I mean, what you have to be right wing. You have to not want mass immigration, and you have to not want climate change.
I know, and I had a friend speak the other day, and he said, well, it might sound like I'm really right wing, and this person has an electric car, and it's like was going just the same as I wanted to have an electric car, and I wanted, you know, I've showed videos of fucking glaciers melting for years. Like, look. Climate change, the glaciers are melting. It's like, I'm a geologist, you know, I know that this is real, and it's like, it wasn't real, it was all set up, you know, and anyway, so.
And there's integrity, Juliet, because that was your profession at the time, your career, wasn't it? All of that.
Yeah.
So that to me is integrity, that you can go fucking bastards.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, you know, that's a whatever, you know.
You learned a lot. About
what my lovely friends, you know, I was like supporting putting solar panels on the roofs of schools and things, and part of the green initiative here. And it's like, now I wouldn't vote green, because I think they're all just tied up with the whole thing, you know, the sustainability and the Great Reset and the 2030 goals, and you know, and everybody's spoon fed all this ideology, and we believe we're thinking for ourselves, and we're not. We're not. It's just another load. And meanwhile, so he said, okay, well, I was always like supporting that, but now listening to Farage, and a lot of what he's saying sounds really, really common sense. Like, you know, and he said some of Farage's policies, and it's like, I'm in danger of becoming a right-wing whatever.
Yeah, you can't barrage the Farage.
But then he said, I'm suspicious of some of the other things he says, so I really don't know what to do anymore. I mean, maybe that's a good place to be. I don't know, to come to that point of, actually, I don't know what, you know.
It's like, step number 1 in the 12 steps for Alcohol Anonymous as well. It's like, I am powerless in the face of this because I absolutely don't know.
Yeah, I think that's where we're at this moment. Yeah. I'm powerless in the face of this. I don't know. So I just pause for a second, because I do want to come to Andrew Bridging, but I just say, so sorry, Debbie, you have yet again not been able to join us, and you have to listen to the replay. You've just sent me a message. I've got your message, and I know you'll be listening later.
Hello, Deb.
Sending big love to you. And anyway, so lots of messages coming up here. I am seeing them, but I can't necessarily share them right at this point, but we'll look at the end. Okay, so, you know, one person that really does seem to be following his heart, and he sees the importance of Parliament as a means of bringing back the power to people. We've talked about him a lot, is Andrew Bridgen, standing as an independent. Mm-hmm. And we talked last week about the people who are standing as independents, and there are a lot of good people. And he's just, I just want to share his little Andrew's army. He's got a lot of people now supporting him in his army. He's a good guy. I feel get the happy feeling in my heart when I look at him and listen to him. You know, he's risked a lot.
Good morning, team. It's Sunday morning. There's effectively 4 days of campaigning left now until polling day. I would urge you all, please come and help. One big final push to polling day. We've got more leaflets to go out. The more houses we can hit, the more coverage we can get, the better the chances of beating Labour here in northwest Leicestershire and returning me to Parliament. Please summon up all your strength for one last push to the line. I look forward to seeing you next week.
So he's been really willing to put himself on the line, and he has also, there's another short video, because I mean, behind this, it's like they push people with fear, and the whole thing going on with what's happening with Ukraine, and we're on the brink of World War III, and what Tucker Carlson was saying about the false reporting of Ukraine. Russia apparently bombed Poland, but it wasn't Russia bombing Poland, it was Ukraine. And when they found out it was really Ukraine, and Zelensky said, oh, but it was Russia, it really was Russia, not Ukraine, even though it said on the bomb, this is a Ukrainian bomb.
They keep doing the memes. We do jokes and cartoons and memes, and then they do it in real life.
Yeah, anyway. And then finally, when it had to be admitted that it really was a Ukrainian bomb in Poland, and then the Minister of Defense in America said, but it's still Russia's fault anyway, because Ukraine was trying to defend itself against Russia. But the real truth is, and Andrew Bridgen has pointed this out, and we posted it a few weeks ago, we are at war with Russia, even though it's not been declared. And Tucker Carlson was saying the same thing. America is at war with Russia, and Ukraine's just a proxy thing. And it's
a reporter asking Zelensky if what was his opinion of the possibility of Trump getting in and having peace within 24 hours. And you should have seen Zelensky squirm in his seat. And he said, well, you know, that's like a big guy saying big stuff. But actually, what we're really worried about is still being able to have money by November or after November. It was basically what he said. But yeah, obviously, it was a lot more shit, but that was my...
Because Ukraine is basically money laundering, isn't it? I mean, putting money into Ukraine is basically...
It's a big washing machine.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what the American Minister of Defense says. We're absolutely committed to support Ukraine, no matter what. We're absolutely committed. We are committed. We are committed. And Tucker's saying, well, why would we want to support a party that's not even supporting democracy? That Zelensky isn't the official leader. All the media is locked up. Nobody can speak. It's not a democratic country. Why are we supporting a non-democratic country when we've got all these problems in the US? And they've committed 90, I don't know if it was 91 or 96 billion dollars to Ukraine this year.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
just this year.
Sorry?
Just this last year.
I think so. I think so. A massive amount. And so is the whole of Europe and Britain and so on. And like then Tucker was talking about the whole FTX scandal, that they're linked to Ukraine. Sam Bankman-Fried is linked to Ukraine, and he's the major donor underneath Bill Gates to the Democratic Party. Oh, and he's a major donor underneath George Soros, next to George Soros, in the amount of money. So it's like they get everybody to pour the money into Ukraine, but that actually money launders and the stuff goes back to. I mean, that's it's so corrupt. The whole stuff with Biden, Biden, Hunter Biden's laptop, the deals, and I mean, it's a minefield trying to understand it. But anyway,
I've interviewed a guy who talks about where the money's going. And he said, well, what we've got, it's all going on infrastructure, on supporting the everything to do with Ukraine needing support. So all the money's flooding in for that. He said, but when it gets distributed, it's being distributed through the Israeli family system, of the Jewish family system or something, which is this massive NGO. And through that, they then allocate money to hundreds of subsidiary NGOs. And that can be like $1 million just disappears. It's just gone. And there's no trace after subsidiary. There's been a request, but it's like they literally are just handing over massive amounts that are just being funneled through these NGOs.
Well, that's a total con anyway, isn't it? Total con.
Well, it's layers of laundry. It's rinsing.
Laundry. And when I was fundraising in Eritrea a long time ago, and we raised loads of money, giving it out to the refugees, I was there, literally there talking to the babies, mothers with babies that were schizophrenic. I was so fired up, like I want to help. And then people saying to me, oh, but a lot of the money we donate to charities don't really get to these people. I said, of course it does. I was like, I wanted so much to believe in the goodness of our hearts and that we could really make a difference and not see the corruption of the charities and that what was happening in.
Yeah, the CEO's on $250,000 a year. Shit.
Yeah, and Eritrea is another situation like Ukraine, that the people are fodder for these other.
Well, they feed us through the media, don't they? Use them, don't they? Put flies on them, starve them, have them snotty and sick, and then film them and send it back to us.
Yeah, so the people I saw it was absolutely genuine.
I mean, they're real children in that devastation. Like, I'm not saying it's planted. But it's stories what's planted, not the actual devastation.
Absolutely, and that's what they're doing, and why Julian Assange also went to prison. It's not a war that we can ever end. It's a war machine.
So I heard something interesting about when he got released.
What was that?
They instantly had to shut down all of their servers connected to the Run DNC. Is it the DNC?
Yeah.
The Democratic, whatever. Him switching off their servers was his ticket out. Just the DNC. That was his ticket out, switching them servers off. That was interesting.
Switching them off. In what way? Who did that?
Switched off. WikiLeaks no longer shows any DNC information on their servers.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Obviously, they've given him a deal.
Yeah.
Which is going to go. Of course, I'll fucking switch off. You know what I mean? Why wouldn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway,
it's interesting that one, because the DNC is also Sam Bankman-Fried. That's where loads of the money that he was working on ended up as well.
It's all completely corrupt.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
they can't change what's Biden at this last minute now, can they? Because they can't swap the campaign money over to anybody else. It's all been allocated to him. So they can't touch the campaign money. So that's one of the reasons why he's been stuck even after his wonderful pantomime the other night.
Oh, that was completely ridiculous. Anyway, the never-ending war and that we are all fodder, human fodder.
He's in charge. Yeah, he's in charge, mate. Yeah, you know.
Anyway, here's Andrew Bridgen giving a intel about what's going on. Because people are worried. Are we about to launch into World War III, nuclear holocaust?
Shocking news overnight from intelligence sources around the globe. It looks like we're being dragged further into them escalating the war in Ukraine, our involvement. Biden's now officially authorized, and they've been there for a long time, US military contractors to fight in Ukraine. And obviously they've put all their bases in Europe on the highest level of alert. It feels to me as if Rishi's got out the door just fast enough not to be a wartime leader there. Without the public ever being informed or questioned or asked about it, we're being pushed, dragged, sleepwalking into a war with Russia. I think we're going to need some wise heads and some experienced politicians in that chamber to try and stop this madness. There's no public appetite for a war with Russia, and we're talking about a world war with a superpower that's got nuclear weapons. This is insanity. We should be negotiating now to de-escalate the situation, not inflaming it.
So that's what they do, you know, that we're just serving their purpose. You know, war is big business.
Something really big might go down tomorrow. I bet you Richie's put money on it. Rishi went and he didn't bet on himself losing, he betted on Russia starting the war on the 4th of July.
Yeah, well, that's what happened when they figured out that it wasn't, you know, maybe this whole thing about Russia bombing Poland was the false flag or the Black Swan event, whatever those two things mean, you know, that was meant to...
False flag is where they blame the perpetrator.
Okay.
Sorry, the perpetrators switched, if you like. They blame the wrong perpetrator.
And the Black
Swan will be a false flag as well, but it's going to be massive. So, yeah. I think this Russia war thing is definitely an opportunity for a Black Swan event.
Yeah, and Russia's bombed Poland. That was really like trying to push that.
Yeah, I wonder what. So, have you? There's a guy I follow on Telegram, but I don't look at him that often. The Aussie Cossack, he's called. If I ever want to know where Putin's at, he's usually got quite up-to-date stuff. But I've not tuned in recently, so I don't even know where Putin's head's at this week. Because he's quite good at saying what the fuck he's going to do next.
Yeah. La, la, la. Okay, well, I'm not even thinking about war. It's interesting. What's pissing me off is actually the ongoing fucking rain, grey skies. I went all the way to the south of France to escape this nightmarish horror situation, the everlasting winter. You know what it's like? The Snow Queen. That always captured my imagination when I was a child. That story, the Snow Queen and the everlasting winter. And the children had to... What story was that? The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe?
I don't know. I don't.
Anyway, she had an icicle in her heart, and like she was a really evil queen. And as long as she was reigning, it was everlasting winter. And that's what it is. It's fucking everlasting winter at the moment, and all the way across Wi-Fi land. I mean, X land, the country of X, all the way across. People all around Europe and so on are complaining about the weather modification, and it's been non-stop rain in France, south of France, cold, gloomy for months. It's gone absolutely crazy, and you know, this is a whole thing playing into the climate hoax again, isn't it?
The climate calamity. We have to get used to saying it like that.
The climate calamity.
Climate calamity.
Yeah. It's like now there's this massive tornado. I'm sure it's man-made, about to hit Jamaica.
No, it's hurricane season. It is 1st of July is hurricane season. So they probably, they concocted something. But it's this time of year they do all of that anyway. So
anyway, as I flew across Europe, it was like flying through absolute filth. It was like not normal.
Was it at the aeroplane height, or did you go above it?
No, it was above. I never got above it.
Really?
Never. Couldn't get out of it.
No. Wow, it's that thick.
Yeah.
Fuck.
It's awful.
Wow. I didn't realise you were actually stuck in it the whole time. I thought you would have come up and through.
No. I mean, there was a bit of that when I went to France. It was like descending into a quilt, into a thick, foggy blanket. I was really shocked when I landed in France into that. And then it was like heavy, depressing darkness. I mean, managed to clear a few times and the sun broke through. But it's not... People in France are saying the same thing. Nothing's growing, you know?
Yeah. I know. Well, it was mini asparagus here, wasn't it? All the asparagus was like half its length.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was. You missed a little heat wave. We had a 3-day, 4-day heat wave. You had me flip flops on last Sunday.
Oh yes, I know. There I was in rain. Anyway, so yeah, weather and apparently there's Doppler. The Doppler stations that track aircraft movement and things. Actually, they're really stratospheric heaters, pumping the ionosphere with heat and moving the jet streams as well. So we've got the HARP, we've got all the new whatever, loads of it. If you start researching, there's loads and loads and loads of it. And I'm waiting, when this
as well, where you can start if you do want to go down the rabbit hole, because there's the whole thing here. Acapulco. What's that noise?
What's that noise?
I don't know. Is that you?
It's not me. It's not me.
Doing your hair.
Yeah.
What was I saying? I forgot what I was saying now.
Acapulco.
Oh yeah, so the different weather events that people, if you want to go down the rabbit hole, Acapulco.
Maui.
Fires. What?
Fires, Maui.
The Maui fires, the Greek fires.
California and Canada.
But no, the Greek one specifically just sways through where they'd already put on the planning applications 3 or 4 years ago, the chunk that they wanted to get rid of, the foresty bit in Greece, this was. And that's the bit that got, on fire in the summer.
That's the same as what happened to Maui. And then they're like, it's the great reset in Maui now. And Cynthia Ozaban, that did the Fall of the Cabal. They did a very good documentary on that.
I've not seen that. So all of this, these adverse weather events.
Yeah, it's a load of bollocks.
It is.
But it's like, how do we come to terms with the fact that we're in continual darkness in winter? It's like, it has a really serious impact on people's health. And I know a number of people that have been really ill as a result of suddenly the dark clouds come over, and that, because it's not just dark clouds, they're raining down toxic chemicals. All
the because they've got what barium, strontium, which are carcinogenic. Then it's got aluminium nitrate, which is Alzheimer's. They've also got
Morgellons.
They've got uranium in some of them. They have, what was the other thing I had? I was like, what the fuck are they putting that in there for? I can't remember. But uranium and that was it. Carbon, graphite. The graphite oxide, graphene oxide. They're spraying that down as well.
Yeah, they're raining it all down. It's a bit like, as I said to my lovely friend, it's a bit like the angel of death passing over us at this point in time. Yeah. So how do we come to terms with this? It's like we're being bombarded from every side. It's, as our lovely Sasha Stone says, the weaponization of the biosphere.
Yeah.
Every which way. So anyway, Saz says she was in the southwest of France and the weather was very similar to UK. Doom and gloom. On summer solstice, it rained for 14 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Floods in Italy right now. But we've got to rise above this. We have to stay in our hearts. And I've actually, on another level, I've actually felt very ecstatic in this feeling of, if they think we're going to be bothered by what they're throwing at us.
Not bothered.
I'm not bothered. Am I bothered? See this face? Am I bothered? It's like, I'm not actually fucking bothered. There's a part
in straight lines all day, every day. Am I bothered?
Yeah. So, we'll get beyond this. They can't win. They never can win. You can never win over humanity. You cannot win. Because we're souls of infinite light and we're tapped into the divine. It's like, they can rain down as much kind of mini robots to penetrate into our blood system and turn us into whatever, but it won't work. I'm not bothered,
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Anyway, am I bothered? We've got comments to look at, and what's the time? Oh, we've got 5 minutes, but look, I've got to show this one. They're calling for the arrest of Bill Gates, who's counting on the the fact he was the one that actually created the invention to block out the sun. He's got
He's not created anything. He's just evil, and he goes around and robs things off equally evil people.
Yeah, equally evil people. He wanted to block out the sun. Anyway, they're calling for him to be.
Who's calling for him? Is it
in America? They're after him. They're after him. Massive calls for Bill Gates' arrest intensifies in America. Here we go.
But that's calls for him. So is there any action?
I don't know. Maybe that's another manipulation. Who the fuck knows?
No, it's just that this sort of stuff's been chanted for a long time. So it's not news that people are saying it. I just thought maybe there was news that something had happened.
Well, it will come. It will come because it will come.
Yeah, it's not here now.
It's just a matter of time. We've got to stay in our hearts no matter what. Let's look, because we're almost at the end of this. Let's look at the comments. So I want everybody who's watching, think about this. You know, there's people that's going to watch. So my link to Telegram is there if you want to follow on Telegram, as I try to keep up to date with things. On Rumble, Twitter, all those amazing, other platforms. I just try to keep abreast with my not very techie skills. But stay
on with the comments.
Put in your comments what's happening to you. Come on. Let us know. How are you rising above this? All this gloom and doom and darkness. What are you going to, you don't have to tell me what you're voting for, but what are you going to vote for tomorrow? Who are you going to vote for?
Are you going to vote? That's the question.
Are you going to vote?
Are you going to vote? And will you consent? They're the only two questions you need to know. You don't need to know the detail.
Yeah. I think saying I do not consent is better than not voting, because I think if you don't vote, it's,
It's called tacit consent.
It's
or tacit agreement, not consent. Tacit agreement.
Yeah. Don't tacit it, because Satan relies upon our silence to bring in evil. So we have to say something. You can't just zip your mouth and say nothing. You can't say diddly zilch.
You can't. Cut your teeth in.
Put my teeth in. I'm not going to have those teeth.
Little dilch. Right, come on, read the comments, Juliet. What's going on in the comments section?
Read the comments. So, okay, whilst other people here, just
for those people who are watching and may not have seen this before, I'm shouting at her to read the comments because I can't read them. It's not that I'm being lazy and dogmatic and authoritarian.
No, but you were before you couldn't see.
I was, yeah, and I still am, but I can't see. So get on, read them.
Okay. So, well, Jack says stakeholder capitalism is actually fascism. Saz says, do you mean anal, Schwab?
Exactly.
Do you know that these World Economic Forum people are teaching 5-year-olds about anal sex? Do you know that? In the books they give kids, that the education program they're putting out for kids, how to have anal sex. I mean, they're so deviant. That's part of the whole process, I guess.
Absolutely. Normalization of their paedophilia.
Saz says definitely a deviant. Anus Schwab is a deviant, and there's a lot of penetration going on. That sums them up infiltrationally. She says, yes, interpenetration, interfiltrate. Okay. Anyway, Farage was pushing the jab. He is controlled too.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's what Andrew Bridgen says. That first of all,
he's part of the establishment. He is. No, he's not part. He is the establishment. He's part of the establishment. He's a city boy. That's what I'm saying about the city and the WEF. I've got a feeling they're just battling.
But if you have to vote, if there isn't an independent person that's worthy to vote for, it's still possibly a good thing to vote for Farage, but not for the Lib Dems, not for the Conservatives, and not for the Labour, because at least he's made some choices about bringing us out of the World Economic Forum. So maybe that he'll. Who knows? Anyway, Debbie says she had a gas bar for sale on Facebook for about 10 months with no interest, and then they got the message that somebody wanted to come round, which was at the time when we were doing our Elders Wisdom. So it's 3 weeks running. She really likes to come for the show. And 3 weeks right now, she's been forced. Last week, she fell asleep. I don't know if I believe you, Debbie. I think you're just like making that up. It's like you don't really want to watch us. No, I don't mean that. I don't mean that. Don't take me seriously.
It's a good job it's recorded.
Yeah, it's a good job it's recorded. So do share. Yeah. Saz says floods in Italy. Never consent to tyranny, says Jack. That's right. Never consent to tyranny. I do
usually ask, but
hey?
They don't normally ask, they just do it.
Yeah. Saz says, still undecided, leaning towards Reform Party just to shake it. Yeah. So what else? It says exactly pure evil. It is pure evil. It's like transgenderism. It's like having, I dropped this red pill as well about, you know, Macron's wife and Kissinger's wife being men and Obama's wife being a man. And, you know, that's the devil, isn't it? It's got breast and a whatever.
Yes, Hamlet Baphomet, the one that Charles has got on his picture. So it's they used to say hermaphrodite, but it isn't hermaphrodite. It's dual sexuality, breasts and a penis.
Yeah. So, my lovely Marion, you're going to kill me. It's 2 minutes past 7.
You're very fortunate. Killing's not some part of my repertoire that I've yet exercised, nor do I wish to at the moment.
Well, at least you can't do black magic from a distance. You haven't managed to do that.
You can. No.
Yeah, you can.
But
I know people are saying they're being black magicked at this point for standing up for things. So, you know, I believe that does go on.
We get sucked into things on so many levels.
What I'm saying is you, personally, are not going to kill me. You're not here, so you can't get your hands on me. And you won't do any black magic on me. So, and I won't do it on you or anyone else. So I send my love. Practice some good.
Remember your heart. Your heart knows love even when you don't know fuck all.
Kindness, loving kindness, even if you can do loving kindness to Anil Schwab. It's a great spiritual practice.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, okay,
and remember, forgiveness isn't something we do. Forgiveness happens automatically as the heart is unchained of its old conditioning.
Yeah.
That was
Saz says black magic returns to sender as well.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I return it to the sender. Anything coming towards me that is not of good intention, I just return it back to you right now. Okay?
Yeah.
And so send my love to you all, and
thank you.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Can I turn it off? End stream. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Doing it.